Hi there, welcome back to Box of Delights, the Sword and Sorcery playthrough. Last time we saw our heroes get tooled up with their weapons and they came out into this open area. There's actually a shadow token here. When these shadow tokens enter the line of sight, you should reveal them, and it could reveal an enemy. But it doesn't. It's a human, and in this scenario that just means discard for no effect. There's a couple more just here. Do note that my layout is slightly different to the introductory mission that you're going to get in the final game. And the other thing is, the line of sight rules are really easy in this. I don't have the line of sight markers on here. I'll draw them on for you. Basically, each area will have a cross like this, so there'll be a cross. Alright, it'll show up better on the final version. And I think there's going to be one around here. I'm not sure you can see them, drawing them on in pencil, but basically if there's line of sight between 2 points, imagine the 2 points because you can't see them here and here, if there's a line connecting them, then there's line of sight, so there might be another line of sight marker around about here, and then our guys are in this area, so can you draw a straight line between these 2 points without clipping one of these walls? No, you can't. So we're out of line of sight of this second shadow. So there we are. Then we've tooled up. The other thing I should have done is we should have starting powers, and I'm going to show you those right now. There's a number here that shows you how many starting powers you have, and as you level up, this number will increase. And if you see an asterisk here, then you can have like a generic power. We call them talents. Until you level up. You see this one's got one power without an asterisk. I think one of the starting heroes does. I think it's maybe the rogue or the elf. The rogue, I think it is. Yep, has a starting talent. But otherwise, each hero comes with their own set. So these are Icarus's powers. Okay, so those are the ones that only he can use. And likewise, depending on which alignment he has, there's different ones. So we are in the law, so we can't use this one, the cruel blow, but we can use rose strike. The other thing to note are these levels. So while you're at level 1, you can only use these level 1 traits. Okay, so you need to upgrade in order to kind of unlock the power of these stronger powers. I'm going to take the shield mastery for Icarus, and your powers go here. And then for Lagon, these are the talents, look, you can't choose those. I'm going to take, I think, Precise Strike. And this one does get, it gets more powerful as you level up. Precise Strike. There we go. Now let's move again, and what we'll do, I think, is we will activate Lagon first. And move him into this area here. We're in line of sight of this shadow token. And it's a nasty one. This is a double enemy. So we've got 2 enemies here to face. These always interrupt your movement, right? Just revealing shadows always takes priority. Okay, so enemy deck is here. Remember, I'm revealing from the bottom. So the first enemy is a blue gremlin. And the second enemy, another blue gremlin. Okay, 2 blue gremlins. That's alright, I wanted to do that. So Lagon's kind of poking around the corner. He's going to fire off his bow. And here's the AI that drives these blue gremlins. They're ugly looking fellas, aren't they? They look just like gremlins from the movie, don't they? Okay. Now these enemy cards will be assigned to the active player. So let's give him those. So that player is going to control those enemies. Kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons series. Now remember, Lagon has 1 combat activity, 1 action activity. which means with our action activity we can use our power. Your next attack inflicts critical. Now, if you wish for your action activity, players can always, there's a bunch of basic ones, not just ones driven by powers. We've marked this power as used now, by the way. As your action activity, you could focus an attack, and that gives you one extra hit. But I've used my action activity to use this power. We've used a power 1 with this 1 hourglass symbol. So you flip it, and then you place the hourglass symbol face up. Okay, so in fact this is going to be like so. During the refresh at the beginning of each turn, these kind of refresh, okay, so they'll rotate and becoming available again for the next turn. As it goes, we're at night here. Alright, this is a night event, and there's some effects that take place. First off, shift all used powers back 1 hourglass, and then it says to check the night event effects described in the storybook. And the scenario tells us that it's -1 hit. So first off, let's rotate this 1 extra. Now I've got 1 combat activity as well. So with my combat activity, I'm going to use my short bow. This is the bow's range, 3. This is the number of certain hits it will do, 1. This is the number of attack dice we roll, 1 blue. No reds here, reds are stronger. And if we get the thunderbolt, then it gets an additional hit. And then we roll. And we've managed to get 1 magic effect and 1 hit. Okay, obviously the star does nothing for us this time. But that's 2 hits, that's good. So that means we've got at least 1 hit, and it's a critical hit. We didn't get a lightning bolt. So 2 hits, -1 for the night effect, that's 1 hit. Notice I can't use Lagon's ability, because this actually uses your action activity. So, I could have chosen to hit both gremlins, but then I couldn't have used my power as well. Now do check your enemies, because they do have some weaknesses sometimes. The bow's more effective against these gremlins. They have a resistance to slash attacks. The good news is the gremlins don't have any armour, so they're not going to reduce that hit count at all. And because we've done a critical, we get to place a critical token on the defender. Now the critical hit strikes before the defender gets to roll any defense dice. Okay, so at the beginning of the game you place these critical hit tokens face down, draw 1 at random, and we'll see what it does. Okay, this one's green and a wound. And green criticals, they happen straight away and then get immediately discarded. So this gremlin takes a wound. There's other types of critical hit, like green are immediate, blue have a duration, temporary, red are permanent, and then they can have like body conditions like blinded or poisoned, stunned, okay, or knocked out even. So we've managed to do 1 hit with our critical strike. We're calling this goblin number 2 and this one goblin number 1, let's say. So we just hit goblin number 2. Now he gets to roll his defense dice. Now, unfortunately for the gremlins, they don't get to roll any defense dice. Not only don't if they did, they'd have like armor value here. Let me show you. Here's one. Here's a humanoid. So a raider. He has armor and a defense roll. Okay. So with a 2 defense roll, what that means is he can roll up to 2 defense dice. Okay, 1 for each hit. Maximum of 2. Okay. Our gremlins here, they don't roll any blue dice in defense. So that means our hit gets through. He's down to 2 health. We've done some damage, but you can tell that we're playing in the night here. It's pretty disadvantageous to our heroes. Incidentally, our heroes always roll a minimum of 1 blue defense dice, okay, even if they're not wearing any armour. That's it for Lagon. He's taken his hero turn. He can't act again because the combat has interrupted his movement. Now the enemies activate, and then Icarus has his turn. And we do this by drawing an encounter card and seeing what enemies activate. It says Bloodlust. Activate all wounded enemies. If there aren't any wounded enemies, then all non-engaged enemies move one area towards the closest hero. So Gremlin number 2 is going to activate. Keep a discard pile handy. It's some of these encounter events they actually trigger the discard pile to get reshuffled. We've only got one wounded gremlin, that's this one, so we activate him. And this is why we look at this card to see what he does. And you can see our gremlins are at range 2. So you look on here, if we were in the same zone, then we'd be looking at the 0. Okay, this is 1, this is 2. Okay, so 2, it says move to engage and attack with bite and claws. Bite and claws is particularly vicious. It's 2 red dice and -1 armour, and you'll notice that it's got some specials here. It says if bite and claw attacks deals damage, then the hero loses 1 random coin. This guy's a thief. Banding. If enemies control its area, bite and claws attack inflicts an extra hit. Controlling an area means you have superior numbers. There's also dominating if you have at least twice as many numbers. Okay, so at the moment he's not controlling, so that's not relevant. And he also has this spines, this horrible spine. So if we hit him now in the same area, then all heroes in its area get hit with a 2 attack. So these gremlins, although they're the weakest, they're still a bit of a challenge for our heroes, especially in the darkness here. Let's see how his attack fares. 2 red dice. 2 thunderbolts here. Fortunately, he doesn't have any effects triggered, and he's got 1 hit. Lagon has some studded leather that does 1 armour. Unfortunately, the bite and claws reduces the armour by 1, so that's not going to help us get rid of that hit. So let's roll. I'm going to roll the 1 die. 1 blue die. And we get 1 hit and 1 magical, so no shields there. We suffer another wound. And that completes our activation. And it's time for Icarus to move in and do his worst. Join me next time as we see how this battle continues.